How far out? How far out did you go?
I don't know, but I was very scared.
Could you, oh, that's the only thing I needed to hear. Anybody else go and get seasick? Go out that far? Oh, really, Teresa? How far were you off the coast? 2.5 hours? Okay. I used to go ling fishing. And ling fishing, you go off the coast, about a mile or so, but you can see the coast. So I'd done a bunch of that. That's a lot of fun. And so then my buddy says, hey, you want to go deep sea fishing? Oh yeah, man, I'm digging this kind of fishing. This is fun. He's got one of those big charter boats, you know, with crow's nest and stuff. So we headed out through the jetties, and 8 hours later, we're out in the depths of the Gulf of Mexico. And before we left, the sea was pretty bad. By the time we got out there, it was 10-foot swells. Not a single one of us guys, 4 guys out there, were going to turn back. No one was going to say, hey man, I think it's a little rough today. And the captain sure wasn't, because he's going to get paid. So we get out there, and I'm telling you what. Have you ever heard of projectile vomiting? And my goodness, I've never been so sick in my life. With everything was gone, I was still getting sick and sick. And one of my buddy's friends said, hey Tom, don't worry about it. Nobody ever died from seasickness. I said, don't tell me that. It's the thought of dying that's keeping me alive. And you know, I didn't even want to turn back. I just wanted the boat to sink now. Because I had to do 8 more hours back. And I'll never forget my buddy. He's sitting there on the boat, you know, and the boat's going back and forth. He's eating a sandwich. You know. And he said, Tom, just look at the horizon. No problem. And so I said, the horizon's doing this. There is no horizon. And I didn't find out till later that 3 days before we went out, he had already been taking Dramamine. His blood was flowing with Dramamine. And I said, why didn't you tell me? I didn't think about it, he said. Oh, my goodness. So what is it that causes seasickness? Well, it's a distortion of your perception and reality that all takes place in your inner ear. And, you know, because you're supposed to be on a fixed platform, you know, solid terra firma. But the terra firma's doing this. And your brain's all messed up. Because the reality is you're doing this, and it's going crazy inside your ear. And next thing you know, you end up chucking. I tell you what, all the way out there I was feeling bad. But I got in, I got fishing, I had my knees up against the side of the boat, and I caught a great big red snapper. That thing was huge. It was the biggest fish of the day, by the way. And I pulled it in. And I turned around to put it, give it to the deckhand, and he was back there cutting bait. And I looked at that and turned back around, and Dad, hey, the floods let go. That was it from there on out for another 12 hours. True story. If you don't believe me, you can ask my wife. She came home, I was in the easy chair, pure white. Oh, it was terrible. It's a distortion is what it is. You know, and I want to tell you that I was out of my element, and I'm reminded of what Peter says. We're going to eventually get to Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. But Peter says, we're to be aliens and strangers in this world. We're not to fit into this world. We're to be different. We're to be aliens and strangers in this world. And as we go through life, as we travel through this world, we can get disoriented. We can get disoriented. We can have a conflict between the perception around us and the reality that is in us, and we can develop what I'm going to call today spiritual motion sickness. And I tell you what, if any of you is fixed to either the major network television, through your TV, or through the internet, or through the radio, or wherever you're getting your news, there's a high degree of possibility that you are spiritually motion sick. Hence today's lesson. I think there are a lot of people that are sick. And their heads just are spinning and swirling. And I like to keep up to date on world news, right? So I go and check out the major news. And it's like, I'm not even joking. I go to CNN. First word, Trump, go to the next one. Trump, Hillary, go to the next one. It's like, isn't there anything else going on in the world today? Well, yeah, there's a lunatic out in North Korea who's firing off nuclear bombs. Fortunately, it blew up on the pad. You got, Iran that hates us and is working on a bomb. I mean, in Syria, oh my goodness, we started the Cold War. Aren't you a little bit fretting? Isn't your mind just spinning? Well, I can remember when I was stationed in Germany, we had a knock on the door, a particular religious group, and they said, oh, Tom, they didn't know my name, but they said, oh, aren't you worried about the Soviet Union at the time? They got 6,000 tanks just a couple hundred miles on the other side of the border. They got all these missiles pointing at you. Well, if I'm going to focus on that, all of a sudden I'm going to get worried, I'm going to get afraid, my head's going to start spinning. Well, I'll never forget my answer back then because I was clearly focused at the time. And I said, no, I'm not. You're kidding. What if they should come? I said, what if they should blow us all up? I'm going to be with Jesus. That'd be fine with me. Really? Yeah, what are you peddling? Because I'm going to heaven. So, my lesson today is fix your eyes on Him. And that's going to be a simple lesson today. Fix your eyes on Him. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. But I want to begin with the problem. And that's on the next slide. And the thing that will cause our spiritual motion sickness is that we're focusing on the world that is spinning out of control. When we focus on that, we're going to get spiritual motion sickness. Somehow we have this perception that the world's supposed to be fair, that it's supposed to be righteous, that it's supposed to be without pain and suffering, and that all should go well with us in this land. But that is not the reality. And I've given you a bulletin with a handout with all the Bible verses on it. You go back and look. And maybe you might ask yourself, why do I take the time to print out the Bible verses? Why do we focus on the Bible verses? Because it's God's Word that is authority, not time. And I encourage you to look at those and make sure that what I'm saying lines up with what God is saying. And the reality in this world is not that everything's going to be peachy keen. No, just the opposite. We'll start with John, where Jesus said, I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. James puts it this way, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of any kind. You're going to face trials. He says, face it with joy. He's not saying have joy in the trials, but the joy of it comes in that these trials are going to lead us somewhere. These trials test our faith, that in turn produces perseverance. Timothy, Paul in 2 Timothy says, in fact, everyone who wants to live a godly life will be persecuted. There's going to be tough times. 1 Peter says, dear friends, don't be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on to test you as though something strange were happening to you. I mean, I have to go on and on and on. Your tires are going to go flat. Your transmissions are going to go out. People are going to lose their jobs. You're going to have problems with your kids. I mean, that is the nature of the world we live in. Anything else is not reality. And so don't be surprised when people treat you bad when you're trying to live for the good. We need to do a reality check. The world's filled with all these kind of hardships and challenges. But here's the thing. This world is not my home. but just a passing. My treasures are laid up where beyond the blue. I love that old hymn. That's so true. This world is not my home. I'm just traveling through this world. But when we fix our sight on this world, when we put our tent stakes down too deep, when we think that it's all about the here and now, we are definitely going to develop spiritual motion sickness. It will happen. Don't live in fear. Don't live in fear. Walk in power. You know, Paul said something about that, didn't he? I gave you a spirit of power, not a spirit of timidity. We shouldn't walk in fear. And here's another thing. I have heard a lot of this. Don't raise your hand. You confess to God, not to me. Don't become a cynic. Oh man, is Facebook full of cynics. And a lot of you out there are my friends. And I tell you, it's tough not to jump in there and become a cynic. I try as best I can, or keep my eyes on you, maybe try to share some truth. But there is that line where you cross and you become cynical. And I see this post over and over again where people believe all politicians are, what superlative can I use to not get in trouble? Because all I think are things not good right now. Not good, I'll use that. They think that they're all corrupt and evil and terrible, and I'm like reading that, it's like, but I'm one of them. I'm a trustee of Raisin Township. I'm part of the local government here. Am I a bad guy too? Don't you say nothing. If you didn't agree with my vote, don't you say nothing. But it's a tough position to be in. To be a representative of almost 8,000 residents. And you can't make them all happy. Right? Don't become cynical. Don't fall into that. Don't wrestle with a pig. That's my famous saying. Don't wrestle with a pig because you both get dirty and the pig likes it. Okay? Don't do that. Don't fall into that. Don't fall into fear. Don't become a cynic and think everything's terrible. Don't become discouraged. And don't allow your faith to waver. Don't become spiritually sick. Well, that's easily said. How do we actually do it? Next slide is the solution. You need to get joy-filled faith again. You need to get filled up with joy. And of course, God's glory is the total source of pure joy. God's glory is the total, complete, undiluted, without reserve source of joy. And so, we can have that again. How do you get that joy back in your faith? Well, let's go back to my original illustration of motion sickness. What is the solution to motion sickness?
Stop.
Yes, I'll never forget. As soon as I got off that boat, got on dry, firm ground, and could focus, where my perception and reality came together, I mean, I was instantly healed. I had a little recovery. I was weak as anything, but that is what did it. Terra firma, a solid ground. It was a fixed focus. This was the remedy to overcome the false perception. And so we need to fix our eyes on that which is real. Do you think this 2016 presidential election and all the baloney you're hearing is real? No, it's not. You think that come November 9th, if this person does get elected or this person doesn't get elected or whatever, this earth is just going to explode? I study history. There's been a lot worse elections than this election cycle. A lot worse. And this is not the reality. This whole world and all of its trappings is not the reality. It is not the end. And it is a trick to think that this is it. This world is not my home. I'm just passing through. No, let's go to Hebrews chapter 12 now, verse 2. Fix our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer, the perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross. Think about those words today. Take them home with you. For the joy set before him. What is the joy? That is the reality that enabled him to go to the cross. Scorning its shame, sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. The reality is, we're just passing through this life. James says your life is but a mist. Now you're into eternity. Now you will experience reality. How much will the 2016 election have to do with it? Nothing. I mean, by next year, it'll be just a fly speck on the wall. And yet, there are those who try to make us convinced that it is everything and all. That we really just need to be sick about it. No, it's not the reality. Fix your eyes on Jesus, because you know what? He's been where you are, and he's going to take you through any and all unstable surroundings. But I gotta admit, it's easy, so easy to get caught up in the storm around us. So easy to get pulled into the vortex of all this unreality, isn't it? Because we think it's real. We think it's important. Now, don't get me wrong, there are things that we need to do as citizens, as community members, as family members and stuff, but do not miss what's real in this world. But it's easy to get caught up in the physical around us. And my favorite example is the Apostle Peter. As he got out of that boat, he said, Jesus, if it's you, tell me, come on. And he said, come on. And Peter got out of that boat. He's walking on water, Don't ever forget that part. He fixed his eyes on Jesus. He could walk on water, in spite of all of his critics later on. That. But what did Peter do? And I can't fault myself because, you got an apostle here. He looked around. He's like, whoa, look at these huge waves. And there's a storm going on and it's windy. And he's like, I'm walking on water. I shouldn't be able to do that. So he's looking at all these other things that easily distract you. Salt water's hitting him in the face and stuff. Lightning's bolting over here. And it's easy then to say, I can't be walking on water. So he begins to sink, right? You know the story. Why did he start to sink? He took his eyes off of Jesus. And I'm sure his head was just a-spinning as he was going down. He's sinking in the water. You guys know the story. Finish it. What did he do? What did he do? He cried out to Jesus. What did he say? Lord, save me. I got to get to my favorite part of the story. My favorite part of the story is the part that it doesn't really say. It does say that Jesus took him by the hand. We know that. But the little bit there that's not recorded, and I can't wait to get to heaven and say, Peter, what happened? Did Jesus just take you by the hand and say, drink some water, pal? Come on. You good? We're almost to the boat. Come on. Do you think he did it that way? I think he took him by the hand, raised him up, and walked back to the boat. See, and that's us too. He doesn't make us pay for the fact that we took our eyes off him and that, we're our own problem oftentimes. We're in a situation because we put ourselves in a situation. That's all right. It happens. It happened to Peter. It happened to us. What's the solution? Get our eyes back on Jesus, but first cry out, Lord, save me. Because this world is sinking me. And I'm drowning. He'll come. He won't make you pay. I believe he'll raise you right back up. And he'll walk with you to the boat. It's easy to do. We get disoriented thinking a lot of times that we can fix it. But however we want it, we get messed up. The main thing is we get our eyes off Jesus. We can't sleep. We're full of stress. I love what the psalmist said. He said, in vain you rise early, you stay up late, you toil for your food to eat, and you worry. But the He says he grants sleep to those he loves. So those who got their eyes fixed on him, he grants sleep. He gives peace. 2 Chronicles 20, I don't have time to develop that. You go back and read it. It's Jehoshaphat. He's got an army. Army upon armies that are going to whoop on him. He got a little tiny army. And his prayer, my favorite part of the prayer is, Lord, we don't know what to do. But our eyes are on you. I love that. You ever find yourself in a situation, your head's just spinning, you don't know what to do? Get your eyes on him. You'll be on solid firm, that terra firma. You'll be on solid ground. Your head will get clear because your eyes are on him. Problems are in this world. 1 Peter 5 verse 7, he says, cast all your cares on him because he cares for you. Psalm 56 and verse 3, when I am afraid, I put my trust in you. Do you do that? Do you do that? Do you put your trust in him? Do you? Huh? Do you lean on him? Do you pray to him? Do you think about God? When you're in a time of trial, do you first of all go to God? Is God in control of you? Because I'm telling you what, I forgot my Max Lucado quote. I want to read this to you. Max Lucado. When we realize God influences the hearts of all rulers, we can choose to pray for them rather than fret about them. 1 Timothy 2, Paul instructs Timothy, you guys pray for all kings and rulers and people over you. They lived in a time in which they had autocrats. They had dictators. We can choose our folks. Pray about it. It's our mandate as Christians to pray, remembering that God is still in charge. He is still on his throne. And ultimately, he will manage all world affairs. Have no doubt about it. No matter what happens in this country. Rulers come up, they go down, countries rise up, go away, but God is still in control. The question is he in control of you? Luke chapter 6, 27 and 28, here's a good way to know. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies. You love your enemies? Do good to those who hate you. You do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. It's a good way to see if God is in control of you. Spiritual motion sickness happens when that which I perceive to be true is in conflict with that which is real. You allow that to overwhelm you, shows that God is not truly taking control of your life. Or that somehow you've been pulled into that vortex. What do? Lord, save me. Get your eyes on Jesus. He'll lift you up to walk in glory with him. Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you so much that your word is truth. We don't need to swirl around in a vortex that causes us to be spiritually sick. Lord, but it's so easy to get pulled into that, whether it's politics or hardships physically, financially, relationally. Father, we need all to be reminded that you are on the throne, that you are in control, that our lives here are temporary. And the truth is that through Jesus we can become your children. We don't have to walk in fear, but in power and love and self-control. Lord, if there are any here today who do not know Jesus as both their Lord and Savior, I pray that they'll go back to the prayer book and we'll help them along the way to become a Christian. For those who are Christians, Lord, we pray that you'll help each and every one of us that is spiritually and emotionally sick, that we, dear God, will get our eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. And Lord, let us not be surprised when struggles and hardships and challenges come along, but they'll be used to strengthen and perfect our faith. Lord, we pray again for our dear sisters, Catherine, Tana, and for others, Lord. And I pray that you bring them to complete healing. We love you, we praise you, we give you all the glory, and we'll do it in Jesus' name. And amen. Amen. New Song, you have a great, great week. God bless you all.